episode 146. It all starts with you.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
And boom, we're back in another week of the very best podcast in the world, your only source in the universe for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. Now, that being said, what have you failed at on this weekend? Getting back to our episode, to Friday's episode, the exercise where I challenged you to bravery in regards to failing at something new. And I got a little bit of feedback. Obviously, not a lot of people were brave enough to challenge themselves to something. And so, yeah, there was a little bit of a reserve. I was expecting more, but then it's the same with expectations all the fucking time. So in that sense, welcome to a new week. Those of you who haven't listened to Friday's episode, sharing is caring. I promised you I would bother you with this thought from here on forth a few weeks ago, from then on forth, technically. And if you come across an episode, it's insanely valuable if you, in the back of your mind, find someone that this episode that you're listening to or that you listened to could be valuable. It's kind of like your moral obligation to, no, seriously, share it with other people. If you listen to an episode about, procrastination, and someone in your immediate surrounding that could benefit from, listening to something like that to motivate themselves perhaps, or to break the cycle of procrastination, where we actually made an episode about a few weeks ago, share it with them. It could be the change in their life to get, some idiot-proof method of working themselves out of their, procrastinacious, whatever phase that they're in, and so I will repeatedly penetrate you to please share these episodes that you're listening to with other people to help them out. Now, today it's about you, and it all starts with you. And the reason I chose this title for today's episode is basically something I had repeatedly mentioned on the podcast. I don't necessarily give a fuck about appearances. And here's why. I've met some of the most low-life looking people who were, insanely wealthy, for instance, or insanely knowledgeable, or insanely passionate, or insanely kind, or, anything above average, which kind of took away attention from their exterior presentation. Let's put it that way. And for years on end, even today, you will barely see me without my Doc Martens boots. I will more often than not wear jeans. I will put on a monkey suit if I'm presenting somewhere, if everybody else dresses that. But I will never, ever compromise my core values when it comes to that. I won't lose my long hair, except for, maybe if biology takes its course and I start losing it, that'll be a way to go. But point of the matter is, I don't really give a fuck about appearances. Not on myself, not on other people, right? It's the inner values that count, period. And you can argue all you want that, in a banking environment or wherever you have to, got it. No, you don't. right? It's about competency, and it's not about how good you look wearing a suit. That goes to say that you shouldn't let yourself go, stop the personal hygiene bit or whatever. Then you get on a slippery slope, because that's when you kind of really, really, really go downward in a spiral, which is also not good for you. And here's why. So when you actually start to take care of yourself, right? Let's assume, you're in the home office situation. You've been there for a year because it's a lockdown, logbook 7,681. We're still in this dilemma of this pandemic going around. There still hasn't been a real solution to fixing it, and you're getting frustrated, and you're like, why the fuck should I even bother to shave? Or, why the hell should I bother to do my hair in the morning? I don't have any meetings or whatever that I have to turn my camera on. So I'll just, let it slide. And then you go down that thing, or the other great example I read a few weeks ago was, thank God there are no smell sensors on webcams, right? So it's like, hey, I'll just fucking skip the shower out of the can, or, whatever. That's really where it starts to deteriorate, right? You still want to be presentable, not for the other people, but you want to smell good and feel good for yourself, right? And that's where, that's what this episode is all about. So when you start taking care of yourself, you start feeling better. And it doesn't only go for the external bit of your persona. It goes for the internal bit as well. You are what you eat, right? If you only start, if you start only eating junk food, or you've been doing that for a very long time, change your diet. You're just going to feel fucking better. I did it for the longest time, right? For years and years and probably decades. I pretty much poisoned my body because there was no fucking time to eat. Well, I didn't make the time. However, when I snapped out of this hamster wheel thing, and got out of it and said, okay, that's enough for me. I'm done. I immediately started to change my diet. I watched what I was eating. I watched the amounts of stuff that I was eating, of good produce, of preparing meals fresh, of not having more than 2 ingredients in a thing that I put into a meal, these basics that you kind of work with, right? So immediately I started to feel that I had more energy. Now, my sleep cycles were still fucked up, and they still are, because that's what I am, right? That's my personality. I am more productive at night. So I don't want to start fucking with that. But I did start feeling better in a variety of ways. I had more energy. I started to notice that my skin got better. I started to notice that, whenever I did yard work, that I would really start to tan easily. Not the sunburn type of reddish, but a natural, this natural glow that you have of, naturally well tanned skin. Right. And in a variety of ways, this just made me feel a lot better. Also, these external things that start to happen. And this added to kind of like the presentability of yourself, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So from that, from feeling better, you immediately start to look better. You look healthier. You feel healthier. Therefore, your mind starts to positively influence your body, obviously, and you start to look better. You've got this smile on your face because you're happier. You're not kind of digging your way through the day. You're passionate about the day ahead of you because you've got it all figured out, because you had the energy to run until the end of the day to make your to-do list for the next day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this in turn, this feeling better, thereby looking better, will actually start to make you attract better, attract more. This is not some kind of metaphysical bullshit. If you go into a meeting with a client, for instance, and you've got that smile on your face because you're self-confident, right? Because you feel good, because you look good, and immediately you're going to be able to win over more people because you're authentically happy, and you convey that through a variety of bodily things. You started to convey it through your posture, right? You walk into a room and you're proud, and you're happy and you're energetic, and and that's kind of like where this whole circle ends, right? It closes itself, right? So when you start to take care of yourself, you start to feel better, you start to look better, and you start to win people for yourself, simply because out of these things results a really great amount of self-confidence. And you're going to immediately convey that to your surrounding and be a much more interesting person, I hope. So those were my 2 cents and observations on this topic. I hope I was able to convey what I was trying to. And in that sense, let's cut it short. We just merely broke the 10 minutes today. So shame on me. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. And again, share this episode to everybody stuck in their home office environment as a kind of trigger not to let themselves go. Because as a result of that, will come the obvious opposites of what I just mentioned. And we don't want that to happen to our friends and family. So in that sense, share this episode. I know a lot of you are, stuck in this home office environment. So, share it with everyone so that they listen to it, so that they understand, and that, they still keep a decent amount of themselves and their persona and their original aura that they had on them. In that sense, have a successful day. If you already have had your successful day, have a good night, and we'll be in touch tomorrow when we're going to talk about something I haven't really decided upon. So, surprise, surprise. See you soon. Peace out. Take care.